can't think of a better way to begin Super Bowl week than by signing this act to put up the "Don't Try It Here" sign in Indiana. Speaking, of course, of the really horrific practice of the exploitation of young women, so-called human trafficking. Thanks to advocates like those present today and many other people, a number of us became aware, I'll confess in my case only about a year ago, not only about how widespread and awful this practice is, but about gaps in Indiana's law. And we were determined to have as tough a law as we could with the help of people in both parties here, Senator Head, Representative Sturwald, Senator Simpson, Representative Welsh and Foley and others, Greg Walker. Indiana, in time for the Super Bowl, will have a law which both makes it much easier to prosecute those who would engage in this practice and toughens our penalties substantially. So I just want to express heartfelt appreciation to all those who made this happen and made it happen in time. As I was just saying to Laurel before we started, let's hope that the law has the deterrent effect that we hope for, and that these criminals will decide to take their awful business somewhere else. But if they should try it here, at least we know that our prosecutor will, and our law enforcement personnel will be armed with a tough law, much more certain of producing successful prosecutions and long jail sentences. I signed it the first moment somebody put it in front of me.
Things like the clerk's having the speaker and so forth signing.
Yeah, there are 3 other signatures, including the or 4, I guess, including the lieutenant governor. But they got it here, I believe, about as quickly as they could.
Governor, do you expect to sign the right to work bill as soon as it passes the Senate on Wednesday, if it passes?
As soon as it comes to me.
Why the rush for it?
No rush, just believe in being efficient.
Laurel, is there any indication that anybody is trying to move people in here in advance of this human trafficking law?
I don't know of any specifics, but I think the reason for this law is clear in that it does occur, and in any form or quantity is too much.
Well, before you go away, festivities are already underway. Have you seen anything already over the weekend? Have there been arrests at this point?
I'm not aware of any arrests related to the human trafficking law, but others may.
I haven't been made aware of any arrests that have transpired up to this point beyond what we normally would have in a weekend environment. But I would tell you that in the historical perspective, the Super Bowl has always been a bit of an increased time for such crimes as that. And so we have tried to be proactive. We work closely with the federal agencies as well as IMPD, and we've put as many as 30 state troopers on the detail as well. So there's a significant number of law enforcement presence looking for that concern. I would tell you that about 4 years ago, I was approached by the U.S. attorney who tried to give a point to say that if the Lucas Oil Stadium was at full capacity, 600 folks within that number would represent the trouble that we have presently in the state of Indiana with child exploitation and child pornography. So we recognize this to be a very significant problem, and we intended to be on the front end of any trouble that came forward.
Can you tell us what the 30 troopers that are assigned to this, what are they doing?
I would only say that they're out there looking for this kind of a problem. I don't want to talk about how we do what we do. That would be foolhardy for our effort, I'm afraid.
I've always thought just looking at Paul White's will deter most people. even before we give him a tougher law, you know?
Can somebody from the advocate community talk about what this is like at other Super Bowls?
Did you guys decide? Abby, are you?
Hi, I'm Abby Kuzma with the Attorney General's Office. We have been informed that in previous Super Bowls there were issues, and we have some specific statistics that I can share with you later. But it's something that can be associated with any large event, particularly. In other words, whenever you have a large group of people coming into an area, particularly a lot of men in a party atmosphere, you have a statistical uptick in demand for commercial sex, which leads to the fueling of human trafficking. Because the average age of persons who enter into the sex trade is 12 to 14, and that's a Justice Department statistic.
Governor, the union protesters upstairs earlier were chanting Super Bowl, Super Rally. Is it your hope that by signing that bill in advance of the game that you might diffuse some of that?
It's just my hope that people wouldn't, in their own interest or the interest of others, do anything to detract from that event. I think it would be a colossal mistake for people to do anything really to injure the event. I think it would backfire badly on those who did. More to the point, it would reflect a real disregard for workers. It's supposed to be all of our concern. Thousands of people are earning money they wouldn't otherwise earn because of the Super Bowl. We want it to be as successful as possible in the workers' interest. So, no, I mean, there are designated areas for expression of disagreement, and folks are encouraged to use them and do that. Of course, that's their right. But if it means trying to damage the spirit and the success of the event, I wouldn't expect that. I think it would be, as I say, a huge mistake on the part of those who did it, and certainly a disservice to workers.
Governor, how many events will you be going to this week for the IEDC sort of as business development, and will you be using Right to Work to sell Indiana this week?
Well, we'll be using what we consider the entire list of advantages for our state, as always, and we can add this to the list now. As I've said, it's just one more, we believe, very positive feature, along with low costs and low taxes and good infrastructure and so these things we've been using anyway. Yeah, we have a good group of people coming. We're excited about that. We're going to have a reception for them, I know, and probably a dinner, obviously hosting them at the game. And our folks tell me that a lot of these aircraft that will be coming in, I hear there are hundreds of them. Every one of them will leave with some information about why Indiana is a good place for jobs. So we've always seen this as a great opportunity to do our most important job, which is try to bring more employment here.
How quantifiable that you expect that effect to be, and how quickly you expect to see it?
Quantifiable to be what?
The effect of Right to Work?
Yeah, well, we believe it will, we don't believe, we know it will expand the number of opportunities by something like a third of the business that's out there. We've been told for years and years and years by the people who do this work that there's something like a quarter to a half of the opportunities that have this as a prerequisite. And so more shots on goal will translate into more successes.
I'm wondering, is that something you expect to be immediate? Do you have commitments in your back pocket now? Is it something that a couple of years to sink in?
It'll take a while to see. I don't know. It's obviously gotten the attention of people out nationally already through no particular efforts of our own. So I don't think it's going to be a secret to anybody.
I've spoken to some of the protesters upstairs who say they voted for you in '04 and '08, in part because you went to union events and told them you would not pursue Right to Work, and they were happy about some of the other things that you were proposing. What would you tell them
Yeah.
now?
No, I understand. That was my position. I held to it for 8 years. 8 years of learning. It was like, you know, eventually persuaded me. I always said, I think we can, I said the same thing over and over. I believe we can succeed with the labor laws we have now. Never said it was a bad idea. Just said I thought we could get by without it. And eventually, 8 years of evidence convinced me we were going to need it. that we were simply missing too many chances. It's a little like the smoking ban. I also spent years saying I don't think we need it, and eventually listened to the people and watched the evidence grow. And, but I understand, and I wouldn't try to talk them out of it. But I just try to approach this subject and all subjects honestly, and keep an open mind. And if you don't learn anything over time, maybe you haven't done the job properly. I'm sorry? Did you do the zip line? No, I didn't. I was scheduled initially, but one of the soldiers' funerals wound up conflicting with it, so it's not been rescheduled.
Governor, will you be weighing in on the Republican presidential primary?
Well, I haven't, and I wouldn't say certainly not, but I'll tell you one thing. I see the possibility coming that our Indiana Republican primary might be meaningful, that as on the Democratic side last time, which I thought was a great thing, the race might not be over and we have a real chance to participate. And I would say that might be a reason to continue a neutral pose, be a good host to everybody. I mean, if I can be a good host to the New England Patriots, I should be a good host to multiple candidates in the Republican primary. I'm sorry? Does that mean you think Gingrich's going to hold on? I don't know. All I think I know is that the rules, as well as the multi-candidate field that we still have, might mean that it's very hard to get over 50% before the 1st of May, for anybody to get over 50%.
A number of prominent Republicans have gone out of their way to say that they think Gingrich would be a dangerous nominee for the party. Do you share that concern?
No, I mean, I'm not going to make any comment about any of the candidates. I'm just going to try to stay in the neutral pose I've been in.
Any thoughts on the proposal by Jeff Esmith, $80 million for full-day kindergarten?
Yeah, strongly support. You know, we've been pressing and growing both the dollars and the numbers of 5-year-olds in full-day kindergarten, and this will get us completely to the finish line. So I do support it, and said so last week. Absolutely.
Along those lines, do you support any changes, like Senator Kennedy's change to the ATR, where the money goes first to the teacher pensions and then goes back?
Well, Tom, I do support the changes, particularly the change to a per capita distribution, which is what I had initially proposed, which I think, first of all, is a whole lot simpler, dramatically simpler, utterly simple, actually. And, the $100 might mean more to a low-income family than to somebody wealthier, and so I've always been for that. That's advanced in both houses. And, we're still going to look for the best answer in terms of the distribution of the money, but something that preserves the principle that it's the taxpayers' money, and that at some point, we can talk about where that point is reached, government's got enough that the rest should be left with the working people who earned it. I'm glad that that's going to be part of Indiana law. All right, thanks an awful lot.